So we use AI for just about everything, it seems. It's obviously growing, but it's all around us. How about AI for helping us fight disease? Well, right now we want to bring in Mr. Jeffrey Skolnick, a Regents Professor at Georgia Tech, who will lead this new center at the school, their first major initiative. Mr. Skolnick, thank you so much for being here with us. I'm very excited to get into this conversation with you.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity to tell you about the initiative that Pete Petit and his wife Janet have generously funded to try to transform healthcare, especially for all the intractable diseases that currently remain and are plaguing our society.
Yes, and we talk about them all day right here on the news. One that's kind of creeping around, the cyclospora. What is going on with that? With the lettuce, people are afraid to eat lettuce right now. I want to ask you. Go ahead.
No, be careful what you eat. I
Yeah.
mean, apparently it was human excrement that caused this, according to my reading. But yes, I mean, there's bacteria all the time. Some of them are good and some of them are bad. And there's other organisms that are good and bad. And it's how our body responds. And hopefully AI can help us respond better and take advantage of the existing massive quantities of knowledge for everybody's benefit.
That's right. Hopefully, it can help us respond better, faster, and more efficient. Can you tell us about Georgia Tech's new AI Innovation Center for those who are not familiar with it? What is it? And when can we start to see things coming out of it? Or are we already seeing students' work and research happening in the world of AI and fighting disease?
So there's been this is not the first thing that's happened. So there's obviously been a innovation-driven health initiative at Georgia Tech, but Pete Petit, the donor in particular, recognized that AI can play a particularly important role in developing new drugs, new therapies, using old drugs. For example, Viagra is a repurposed drug that treats erectile dysfunction. And part of the problem is there's a lot of complex diseases, and drug discovery currently is very expensive. You'll spend about 15 years or so to develop a new drug, and the success rate, one fifth of them are going to fail safety, and half of the ones that don't kill you or are not safe enough don't work. And so the hope is, and this is what this initiative is designed to do, is to figure out better shots on goal. It won't be perfect. AI is not a perfect solution for everything, but it can accelerate and provide more rapid decisions. And because AI, basically, it's learned all the literature in the field. No human being knows everything. So imagine you're looking at a very complicated scene, the Grand Canyon. And any given human can look at a bush, a tree, but you don't see everything. AI can integrate this massive quantity of knowledge, and that in the hands of hopefully talented researchers with that imagination can drive new approaches and do them faster. Because numbers of shots on goal matter, and how quickly you get a treatment. If you're dying, say, of terminal ovarian cancer or terminal pancreatic cancer, you've now run out of options. What can you do? Can AI help do this? How are all the things we eat and are related to each other? You may hear about your microbiome, your gut bacteria. Can we use these things to develop better health initiatives, and can we accelerate it? This is not a one person initiative. It's going to take a tremendous team of people in computer science, biology, molecular biology, cell biology, as well as translational studies and clinicians to make this a reality. But we're in the initial stages, and we're hoping to be developing some initial prospective drugs that might be useful, or repurposed drugs. That's basically a new use of an old drug, an off label use. Minoxidil is an example. It grows hair. Okay. Now, initially it was sloppy lab technique, and the technicians noticed that this blood pressure med leaked around their gloves, and lo and behold, they had a ring around the collar of hair. Grows hair. More generally, this is a general approach that can be used, and the advantage is if you know what the drugs do and what their side effects are, you can get them into patients quicker, and you can work with doctors, especially for these intractable cases, to help save lives. And that's kind of the global vision, and it'll happen in stages. I mean, nothing's going to be a great miracle in day one, but our hope is by catalyzing a whole bunch of activities that are designed to accelerate better drugs that are de-risked, or using old drugs or other existing molecules like vitamins and stuff, can potentially help accelerate the transformation of healthcare so that we all can live at least better quality lives, and ultimately the dream is longer quality lives too.
Exactly. Longer life. That is the dream. I want to ask you about the frustrations and challenges. What are some of the biggest frustrations in medicine and the gap between a scientific discovery? We want to make this happen, but then actually making that a reality for the patient. And how can AI help to, I guess, streamline this?
So you've keyed on something which is a key problem. It's called the Valley of Death. Okay. So we do some research in what I would call academic central time. You have a very promising thing. It hasn't been proven clinically. Part of the problem is remember, if you're dealing with success rates of 1 in 10, even if you can get the funding, because obviously once you've had a scientific discovery, you want to translate it into some type of, it's got to be produced, it's got to be FDA approved. There's a whole set of procedures which go above and beyond just a promising molecule. If what AI can do, and this is my fervent belief, is it can create more shots on goal. Put another way, rather than having a 1 in 2 drugs that you've now struggled to be successful, suppose 80% of them are successful. And suppose you can eliminate the 15-year drug discovery period and compress it because you've done it more efficiently till you get into the patient, and it makes it more successful, and even have ultimately virtual humans and virtual cells that can predict a person's individual response, improve and de-risk it. And that's the goal. And this is not going to happen magically overnight, that there's going to be a wake up one morning and the Messiah's arrived. It's going to happen in stages. And so the whole goal is to do the art of the doable, learn what works, what doesn't, iterate, repeat. And in the meantime, AI is getting better and more powerful. If you've ever used ChatGPT over the last 3 or 4 years, it gets smarter and smarter. It's just like in the beginning when people wrote by hand. Then you had a printing press. Then you had a typewriter. Then you had a word processor. This is the logical equivalent of the next step in evolution from a word processor, where individuals are struggling to mine all the data that's known and no one can possibly do it, to integrate, to create new hypotheses quickly. In the last several weeks, I've been doing stuff which literally have taken me months, but with the assistance of AI, it took about a week and a half, because it can provide me all the information at my fingertips that I need. And it's actually very good. It's very if you tell it to be honest with you and not hallucinate, because they also want to make you happy, it will say, no, this isn't right. So you can have a literally argument with AI, and it says, well, try this, try that, and it can go through a lot more cases. The best way to describe it is this. Imagine drug discovery is juggling 10,000 balls. I don't even know that the best athletes can possibly juggle 10,000 balls. And I'm not a great athlete, so I'm more 2 or 3. So, but on the other hand, AI can juggle the 10,000 balls. And then you, as the scientist, or we call the AI now a co-scientist, is the term. But you, as a scientist, can ask it questions it hasn't thought of, and then it gives you an answer, and you iterate quickly. So it is a very powerful tool. You have to be skeptical, because this is what's called hallucination, which is it sees connections that aren't there, and it is extremely believable, by the way. If you've ever used ChatGPT, it'll tell you something and you clearly know it's wrong, but it looks really true. So you have to maintain healthy skepticism. And then the key is, and this is the important thing, AI alone for drug discovery isn't going to work. There has to be experimental validation. You have to test the things, but AI and robotics can accelerate even the experimental protocols. So we're in the midst of what I hope is an AI revolution that can help make people's lives better. It's not going to be miracles. It's going to happen at once. But the key is, initially, in my opinion, is go after the really hard cases of people that have no options because the standard of care has failed to work. Use AI to make suggestions to improve their quality of life and possibly even cure them. This is a dream. I have some anecdotal evidence that occasionally this is now even working uh, as well. But the point is, this is how it can be used and harnessed. And that's the goal of the center at a very high level.
And if you could look into your magic ball and predict the future for us, if you could do that, I'd actually ask you a lot more things than just this. But to your best of
Yeah,
your ability.
tomorrow would be
Yeah,
really
I was
good.
gonna say stock market, lottery numbers, things like that. But when it
Yeah,
comes to the health of our community, if this technology succeeds, um, what are the most, I guess, exciting things we could use this AI for to help the ultimate goal, like you said, living longer, living healthier lives?
that's it. I believe what you're going to start to see is because this literally, unfortunately, you can run into lots of intractable diseases quickly. A lot of cancers, a subset people, you now pass the standard of care. That is where it's going to have the first initial impact. The other place it can have an impact is in, uh, you've heard of precision medicine. Basically, what it is I want to predict the future, as you've just asked, right? I want to look in your genome, your diet, your blood work. Can we use AI to better predict what emerging diseases you have early? And let me give you a very concrete example. You have a little fire in the kitchen. What do? You put it out with a glass of water. Now your whole house is burning. Is the glass of water going to work? No. If you've ever had a migraine, catch it early and it works great before it gets cooking. So AI can tell you disease progressions, and hopefully we can develop early interventions to pick the simple things rather than the big things. A classic example of these GLP-1 inhibitors, Mounjaro, Wegovy, etc. If you reduce people's obesity and overweight, their blood work looks great and they are more energetic, less heart attacks. It's not a miracle cure for everything, but this is an example of fixing one problem which prevents the downstream problems of a whole bunch of other things. And a lot of diseases are what's called comorbid. You have disease A, and that precedes the sequence of disease B, which precedes disease C. So if you can use AI to predict this and understand this, because you can identify and run through millions of records, I couldn't possibly do it by hand. Um, you can then say, okay, this is the disease progression, and now can I figure out a treatment for the root disease that's going to keep you from getting all these miserable ones? And I think that that's going to be a very promising initial area where you're going to start to see the immediate benefits of AI. And of course, the problem is if I prevent you from getting it, did I succeed or you never got it? I can't. That's harder to prove. So I fixed the original disease, or somebody did. At least statistics over time, when you look at the mortality rates and the comorbidity rates and everything, it'll start to show up. That's a very concrete example of what's probably very close to within reach now, amongst all these other higher tech things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that if what you are saying comes to fruition, I mean, you're talking about a complete game changer. And I like what you said a couple of answers back, and you were explaining how, because the typical person probably uses ChatGPT or has dabbled with it. You said something that has taken me months to do, I could do it in a week, a couple of days. And I think that that is the sentence that really kind of hits the nail on the ball on to what AI can potentially do for, streamlining cures to diseases. And if not a cure, like you said, something
Exactly. And
preventable.
it knows a lot more than any human being,
Yeah.
right? And that's important because it has basically swallowed all the knowledge that we have. Now, one may be and I'm not the next Einstein, but one imagine you're the most brilliant person alive. There is no way you can assimilate every fact, every paper, every bit of knowledge in the literally hundreds of millions of articles in the world. It doesn't. It knows it. And so it is a tremendous resource, and it can see on a good day connections that you can't see because, again, if you're looking at a very complicated scene and all I'm looking through is a pinhole, all I'm going to see is a tiny little thing. It doesn't see the whole scene. It can see the whole scene and it can make connections. I can ask it questions like, okay, if this is true and I believe this is true, find all the diseases that are a result of your gut bacteria being pathogenic and why are they pathogenic? People know that they are. And if you know that, then you could say, well, how do I intervene to keep bad bacteria in your gut? And by the way, there's 10 times as many bacteria as there are cells in your body. So we're the parasite in a certain sense. Can I use that information to keep you healthy? Because obviously the goal is you want to keep people healthy as long as possible.
Yeah.
You want to put out the fire when it's just in the kitchen, not when your house burned down. And it can accelerate these things. And this is the glorious vision. But what I would argue, and perhaps in closing, is you have to think both thoughts. Even though they're high risk, most of them are going to fail. But you're never going to transform the state of the art unless you try these higher risk things, because a subset are going to succeed. And society actually functions and is transformative on the tiny percentage of stuff which actually is revolutionary at the tip of the spear, and it was the result of millions of failures. So you have to tolerate the failures to have this gold at the end of the tunnel. It's really important.
It certainly is, and I'm so happy that you mentioned that in closing, because that right there is what, we will continue to see happen as the thank you so much, as the days go on, the years go on, and we continue to get these improvements, and continue to elongate our lives now with the help of AI. So, Mr. Jeff Skolnick, a Regents Professor at Georgia Tech, leading this center. We truly appreciate you coming on, and demystifying this AI and trying to see what you all are doing at Georgia Tech. Because some people, they hear AI and they get afraid of it. But the reality is that it's here, and it can truly help if it's being put to the right use. So we truly appreciate your time.
Thank you. And think of it as a more sophisticated typewriter when you were printing by hand.
There you go, a more
Cool.
sophisticated typewriter. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Skolnick. We'll be putting this full interview on 11alive.com so you can share it with your family and friends and those who are interested in learning more about the happenings at Georgia Tech and AI and solving and fighting diseases.